Yes, guys, I'm Si. Welcome to Ace Podcast Nation, the home of the Cardiff City Weekly. And as always, as we're waiting for the latecomers, the stragglers and stuff like that, we'll do a bit of housekeeping. Of course, this past Monday night was the first ever Cardiff City fan show, live from the Rum and Tavern pub in Cardiff. And we'll be there every single Monday, so please do come down, have your say, talk all things Cardiff City, debate the subjects, talk about the game from the weekend, talk about should Ruben Corwell go on loan, are Cardiff in the playoff race, loads of different things to discuss. We want to hear you. We want to see you. Come on down, grab a drink, have your say. If you don't want to be on camera, you don't want to join us for the fan show like in the debate, but you want to watch, come down, have a drink, say hello. It's all good fun, good chat, all the rest of it. Everybody's welcome, all views welcome, etc. Be respectful. Don't be a dick. Everybody's welcome, as usual. We have, of course, Rhodri Giggs and football tomorrow night, every Thursday, talking all things football, more sort of Premier League, Champions League, stuff like that. Cardiff City Weekly at the moment is on a Wednesday. That might be changing because of the fan show on a Monday. We might make it so we only do the Wednesday Cardiff show if we play on the Tuesday. Just because it's a bit of overkill to have the two so close together, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. And My Story, our series featuring an array of guests from music, sports, and media, films, and stuff like that. Footballers, whatever you want. That'll be back soon for a sixth series. We've had all sorts of guests on there, so please do look out for that. Check it out. Already filmed the first episode of that new series with a stand-up comedian. And there's loads of stuff. There's loads of interviews with various footballers and Cardiff City legends on the channel. So please do check them out. If you'd like to become a member, patreon.com/Ace Podcast Nation. Become a member, £2.50, I think it is, per month. And you get exclusive content. You also get 24 hours early access to tickets. So, for instance, we got the Andy Campbell an evening with City legends #1 on the 3rd of November. You can click the QR code right there if you'd like to get a ticket. I believe there's a couple left. It's only £5. You get to spend an evening with Cardiff City legend, ask him questions, talk about it. Very intimate. It's going to be a lot of fun. The first one's 3rd of November with Andy Campbell. Me and him reunited. Should be a good time. And then the next one I can announce today will be the 1st of December. So keep that free because it's going to be with another City legend. And they're going to be pretty frequent. Not sure if we might try and fit another one in before Christmas. We might leave it and start up again in January. Not sure yet on that. But there's a long list of Cardiff City legends and former players who are going to be coming on those evenings. Like the one with Andy is £5. Like tickets, just what a bargain. There is limited tickets. There's only a few left. So if you want to come, I advise you to click that QR code there, get it done straight away because those tickets won't be around for long. And if you want your say, let's talk Cardiff City. Of course, we played Blackburn Saturday. We talked about that a little bit on Monday, but I particularly want to delve deep into the Huddersfield game yesterday and look ahead to the Bristol City game on Saturday. And also, for newcomers to the channels, we don't just like to talk about the football, and we don't like just, hit all the clickbaity stuff and the obvious stuff. We like to delve into the tactics a little bit as well. So if that's your bag, get involved, ask questions, drop comments, all the rest of it, because we enjoy a good chinwag and a good chat. My first question to you lot, though, is it coincidence that Cardiff City won 4-0, returned to form, the team looked better, the players looked better after we returned to the 4-2-3-1 formation and he ditched the flat 4-3-3 with the three defensive midfielders, which I've been just banging the drum for the last few weeks. That change in formation, I could understand it for certain games, but ultimately that change in formation coincided with the dip in form. Earlier in the season, playing the 4-2-3-1, we looked so fluid and we just looked dangerous. Teams were struggling because we were so comfortable on the ball, just playing it around, the fullbacks pushing up into midfield, and we just were very difficult to contain. see the Swansea game, see some of the other games. And I thought it's a particularly impressive, any victory in the Championship away from home is really difficult. So to go and play Huddersfield and play them off the park and win 4-0 is massive. It's a massive result, massive performance. But it means nothing if we go and shit the bed on Saturday against Bristol. We have to follow it up with a good performance. I'm really happy for Robinson. I think he's been patient. He's worked hard by and large. I think the Watford game was the sort of one which stands out as maybe wasn't a good performance from him. But ultimately, apart from that, when he's come on, he has done quite well. He's worked hard, particularly. And look, I said at the start of the season, I think he's the best finisher at the football club. I would like to see him as the number 9. However, the people at the club, they fancy him as that number 10. And I thought he did a tremendous job last night. Like, not just because he scored and he got an assist as well. It was more like the work rate and the quality of his play really, really sort of was massive to how the team played. Like, having that option, having someone in that number 10 position just beyond a striker, it's vital, because what you found is when he was playing the 4-3-3 with Rawls, Wintle and Siopis, we're very comfortable on the ball. We are very capable of winning the ball, in midfield and just knocking it about. We're very comfortable with the ball. We're happy with it. But we were really lacking when we tried to play through the lines and transition from midfield to attack, particularly if we tried to do it with any pace, because there was no one dropping deep. And unfortunately, the strikers that we have, Ugbo, Atete, and even Mate, I don't think, like I said on Monday night at the fan show, if you could combine all three, you'd have a phenomenal number 9 for the Championship. Unfortunately, they all offer something, but they all lack something. The link-up play from Mate is superb. Ugbo's got a bit of I think out of the 3, he's probably the one that's struggling a bit at the moment, but he showed at the start of the season that he has got a knack for just being in the right place at the right time when the ball's banging around the box. I think Atete really pulled his socks up when he was getting a bit of criticism about his body language, not being strong enough, his work rate, etc. And he really stepped up and he scored 3 quality goals. He scored a great header, he scored a great sort of volley across the box, and then he scored a superb goal against Blackburn in the cup as well, in a tight space. 3 very different goals, but 3 real quality finishers. And if he's got that in his locker, just needs to be a bit stronger physically in the link-up and keep working hard. I think there's a player there, which I wouldn't have said a few weeks ago. I like Carlin Grant. I know some people get frustrated with him, like the Rotherham game. He was particularly poor in the first half, but he works so hard to help out Collins. And I think he's been vital to Collins finding a bit of form after his injury and stuff like that, having that extra help. But he's deceptive, Grant is deceptively quick. Like, he's very capable of beating his man. But I agree with something which Reese has just put in the comments there. He's desperate to score. He's desperate to get a goal. And I think once he can get that goal, you'll see a slightly more relaxed version of the player. Whereas you look at Bowler's come back in. He looks sharp. He looks relaxed. He's beating his man. Maybe Grant is just snatching at things a little bit and when it comes to that final decision, but you can't fault him, his attitude and his work rate for the team. And he's definitely got something about him. I do like him. I think Bowler is surprising. He only played a couple of games before his injury, but he's a very, very good winger for this level. And he showed last night as well. Like, whilst predominantly he's more of like that inverted winger that we see a lot of these days, where they cut inside looking for the shot or to link up with the central players. But he showed last night that actually he can go on the outside if he wants to. And I think having that string to his bow, if he can go down the outside early in the game, it just puts it in the fullback's mind that, he needs to be wary. He's not always going to go inside. But I like the way that Bowler linked up with Robinson. I thought Cardiff City were excellent last night. You couldn't fault them. I think we kind of eased off the gas a little bit towards the, after the 4th goal, and maybe, on another day, do Huddersfield get one back, which would have been frustrating. because I think the clean sheet was almost as important as having the 4 goals. Excuse me, I apologise. I've still got a bit of a bad chest going on. What I would like to see, though, is I would really like to see Mate push on now, because we've seen from his time at Reading, he can score goals at championship level. I was a bit disappointed with some of his finishing earlier in this season. However, I thought, he took his goal well last night, and hopefully that will relax him a little bit, so he's not snatching at things. Because I really like with Mate what he offers that I think Atete and Ugbo do not offer is he's really strong link up play. He can hold the ball up, he can bring others into play, and I think you saw that with some of his play with Robinson last night. I thought it was really, really good. So, hopefully he can stay fit and he can keep going, because I think there's something there with him. Although I still would argue that his finishing is makes me apprehensive. However, I would say that strikers predominantly, they play on confidence, and when their confidence and goals are scored, they don't overthink it. They do think they finish on instinct. And I think if you can get a striker getting a bit of a streak together, then it's great. But it was so important. Like, I thought Siopis last night, like, he's been a game changer for Cardiff City this year. Like, we have been crying out for this sort of midfielder who sits in front of the defence, but not just that, he's got the quality to control and dictate the game. I really think, like, he's such a quality player. And for me at the moment, there's 3 players in this Cardiff City side who I'm looking at and I'm thinking, how the hell are we going to hold on to them in the summer if they, if we don't go up? Because for me, Siopis is absolute quality, NG, and McGuinness as well, because of his age. I just think there's a concern there that the clubs will be sniffing about, and Cardiff have got a habit of selling their best players for not very much, which is a problem. But hopefully, hopefully we'll sneak up in the playoffs. So my first question was you guys was the 4-2-3-1, was it coincidence that Cardiff has that performance been coming, or was it the change in formation that instigated the change in performance, the change in form? Because for me, I said, at the time, and I've been saying it for the last couple of weeks, when we switched from 4-2-3-1 to 4-3-3, I felt like some of the players were struggling to get on the ball as much, like the wide players. I felt like the fullbacks weren't sure if they should join the midfield, should they overlap. They didn't. Everyone seems a lot more understanding of their role when we play that 4-2-3-1. And also, it's about getting the best out of the players. Like, yes, you can't replace Aaron Ramsey like for like, because of, he's such a quality player. But we have got players who can play in that number 10 position. So let's put round pegs in round holes, which is one of the things which I've been saying all season, I think has been massive for us this year, is we're not trying to shoehorn players into the side, out of position. We're playing players in their best positions. Now, again, I would say, do I think Robinson should be the number 9? I could see the benefits to it, particularly at home. However, and like I say, it's not so much like Will says there, Cyprus's class, stop worrying about keeping players in the side in the summer. We're on the start of an upward trajectory, so they'll stay for a second season, the permanent signings anyway. I think my worry with those 3 particularly is that, Cardiff have got a history of selling their players, and ultimately what it comes down to is, if the club is offered decent money for them, will they have the strength to say, no, we're building something, these are the players that we want to build the side around? Because that's what they should do. Because if you want to push forward, you've got to keep your best players, particularly the ones who are at a good age. I saw Rob said you can't leave Gutas out either. I think he's been solid. Yeah, no, listen, right. I think Gutas, I think Jamalu Collins has been excellent. I think the keeper's been outstanding. I think, like I said, Bowler. I think Tanner's been great. I just mean that those three, to me, if I was a top championship club or even a lower league Premier League club, I'm looking at Perry NG, I'm looking at McGuinness, I'm looking at their age, I'm looking at their qualities, their abilities, the way they can play different roles within their positions, the way they're so good on the ball. And I'm thinking I'll have a bit of that. Siopis, I thought last night was absolutely outstanding, and he's had several good games for Cardiff, but I thought last night was particular. Like, he was so good, and he controls the game, he dictates the game, and it allows Joe Rawls to really concentrate on what he's good at. So for so long, people were getting on Joe Rawls' back because he wasn't doing, or he wasn't playing that well or whatnot for the last couple of seasons. I've heard a lot of criticism towards Joe Rawls, but I think it's because he was trying to do a role or trying to perform a position and a role that he's not necessarily suited to. Joe Rawls is good at keeping the ball moving, playing through the lines, and doing the simple passes very well. And when you're a team like Cardiff are now, who are very comfortable on the ball and are going to have a lot of the ball, you need those players to be able to play through the lines, to be able to slip little balls in through the press. And that's what Cardiff are trying to do, is they're trying to draw on the press from the opponents and then play through it. And then occasionally, if the press is good, they'll go over it. But ultimately, you need a player like Joe Rawls. And I think that's why the manager seems to prefer the Siopis-Rawls combination. But Siopis has changed the game, not just for the team, but for Joe Rawls as well. But, you can't knock Wintle. Wintle's been excellent, I think, since Siopis has come in. I think he's really lifted all of them. But it's interesting. It's interesting. That little change, which I mentioned this on Monday again, the little change of swapping McGuinness and Gutas around has done Gutas the world of good, absolute world of good. He just looks so much more comfortable, and it's such a basic, a little change of swapping sides. You wouldn't think it would make that much difference, but if you're particularly uncomfortable on a certain side, it can get in your head a bit. And I think Gutas has been a real leader, and he's really shown up. Overall, not just from yesterday, overall the season, there's not a lot of criticisms that I could throw at Cardiff as a team, as individuals. I don't think there's I wonder if Ike Ugbo has got some sort of photographs of the manager sometimes, because I'm not entirely sure how he gets into the starting 11 in front of Mate, Etete, even Robinson. I don't see how Ugbo gets in. I don't think he offers very much at all at the moment, which is a bit of a problem, if we're being honest. But it's not a big problem, because you've got on the bench, we look so strong. We got O'Dowda to come back, we got Ramsey to come back, but you had Grant and you had Bowler absolutely tearing their fullbacks apart last night. And then you look on the bench and you've got Tanner, you've got Ruben Corwell. And look, Ruben Corwell didn't do a lot after he came on last night. He was pretty anonymous. And I think what I would like to see now is he either gets an opportunity, which is 20 minutes or a start. If that's not going to be the case, and if Robinson's going to be the backup to Ramsey in the 10, then let's get Ruben out on loan in January to a good side he's going to play regular, and let's see what he can do when he plays week in, week out, because there's something there. But then there's also the argument, which Dan from Cardiff Classic Shirts made on the fan show on Monday, is that it's not just this manager. A few managers haven't seemed to be able to find the right motivation, the right positioning. I'm not sure. I don't think, in fairness, he's had a great deal of chances in his favoured number 10 position. I think in the EFL Cup he did, and he scored a few goals and assists and stuff. So, look, he needs to play, ultimately, is what it comes down to. So I think, where I look at us now, I think that we could probably do with getting him out on loan in January. I think that would make a lot of sense for the player. I think it makes, we've got enough there because you've got Robinson, you've got Ramsey, and you've also, there's other players within the squad. Some of the wide players could do it. One of the strikers, Mate or someone like that could do. There's a few players who could do the number 10, particularly, if we're going to be relinked or linked again with Kiefer Moore, in January, and we were able to bring him in, then that obviously is another quality option. To me, I think if Cardiff could bring in a quality number 9 who's going to, do bits in the Championship. So say Kiefer Moore, just for an example. We could bring in Kiefer Moore plus a defender who can also comfortably play a fullback. I think we're cooking, because I look at the defence. The first choice back four, I think, is about as good as we've had for a while in terms of combination and what they're all capable of. But I worry that if Jamaru Collins goes down injured, then we move NG over to the left and we bring in, Romeo. I do like Romeo, so I think that option to replace NG on the right is okay. That's fine. I like Romeo. I quite like Romeo in midfield as well. But my kind of concern is if Collins gets injured, we have to then, we have to move NG about, and we haven't really got that cover. And look, I was super excited about Panzo coming in. I really like him. He's young, he's strong, he's really good on the ball, and he's a good defender. He's very clever positionally. I was really excited by it, and I thought that he might be first choice before they made the switch with Gutas. I thought that he might take Gutas' place. However, the one start he had in the EFL Cup, he had an absolute nightmare. So if we did pick up an injury at centre-back, it might take him a few games to find his feet, because he hasn't played a lot of football. But there's a player there. So I would like to see someone I'd like to see in January, someone come in who can slot in at centre-back, slot in at left-back. But I trust the manager. I've got to be honest. I think overall, if I'm judging the manager on the season so far, I think he's shown that he's tactically very astute. He's very clever. He changes it up for the opponent, which I think is important. Yes, we want to be in a position where we don't worry too much about what the opponents are going to do and just do our thing. But ultimately, you have to be realistic. As one, we've been battling relegation the last couple of seasons, and two, the Championship is such a difficult league that you come across so many good teams, and you come across so many teams who, on paper they might be down the bottom of the league, and you think, oh yeah, we should beat them, and then you lose. Like the Championship is full of those teams. So I think it's important to have a manager who is able to adapt tactically, to change the system, to change the personnel depending on who you're playing. And I really think that's important. But my favourite thing about Baloo is that he's ruthless. He's very much, he seems to have got the squad together, and they're playing for each other and they're working for each other. But I like that he's got that ruthless streak, and if you're not performing, if you're not putting the effort in, he'll tell you. And if you're not putting it in, he'll tell the media. And I think that's what this club has needed for a very long time, is a manager with a bit of a backbone and a bit of a ruthless streak, whereby you want a manager who can bring everyone together, which I think he's done a good job of doing. But also you need a manager who can make those big decisions when it's needed and call out players if they need to. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Looking at some of the comments, Matthew says, question, would you be disappointed if we finish outside the playoffs after the start we've had? I think before the season even started, a top half position would have been snapped up by most. Yeah, so this is my thing, right? Is you have your expectations, you have your predictions, you have your hopes at the start of the season. However, you have to adapt that as the season goes on. You have to judge it on how the team's playing, how they're looking, even when they maybe don't get the results. Like, does it look like it's coming together? Do we have the depth? And when you weigh it all up, I think, put it this way, if Cardiff City could play like they did against Swansea and how they did against Huddersfield on a semi-regular basis, so say like 8 times out of 10 or 7 times out of 10 you played to that level. There's absolutely no reason why this side could not get into the playoffs this year, because I can't tell you, like, that performance against Swansea City was such a big performance, like the quality and the way they went about their business, but it was how comfortable we've been on the ball. Like, a lot of these players we've seen over the last few years, and some of them have not looked this comfortable on the ball. Not, and maybe it's the managers have wanted to go very long and direct, but that Swansea performance was a real eye-opener for me, because we just controlled that game from start to finish. Swansea had one chance right towards the end, and they missed it. But like, the game was, we controlled the game. We were comfortable on the ball, the movement off the ball, and the speed of the transition when we win the ball back in midfield from there to attack to creating chances was absolutely outstanding. I think that's been a real asset to the team overall throughout the season, is the transition from winning the ball to creating chances. And I think the Leicester game, I thought Cardiff were excellent in that game, and I thought we were really unlucky not to get a result. Even going way back to the first game of the season against Leeds, I thought we were unlucky not to get the result. But yesterday's game particularly was a real good attacking performance, real good quality on the ball. So in answer to your question, Matt, if I think a lot of it depends on, well, there's a couple of things I think it depends on. Can we keep the back four fit between now and January, so that back four doesn't miss a lot of league games through suspension or injury? If we can keep them fit till January, I'd be fairly confident that we will defend very, very well. If we can keep Siopis fit and not suspended, you're pretty happy with the midfield, whether it's Rules or Wintle. So then in January, if you can bring in a Kiefer Moore, or whoever, like, it may be the manager will pull a Turkish signing out, someone from the Turkish league out, and he'll be like a Siopis and make us really good. But I look at people like Bowler and Grant have been impressive, but Ollie Tanner has been superb this season. Every time he's been given the opportunity, whether he started or come off the bench, I think most times he's made an impact or created chances. There was the one game where he got taken off at half time, and maybe one or two instances. But I mean, overall, I would rate his season as a bit of a coming out party. I think Ollie Tanner's been excellent. He's unfortunate that he's got two very good wingers now in front of him, and you've got a Dowder. But you need four good wingers to play the system that we play. So you've got O'Dowda and Grant, and then you've got Tanner, and you've got Bowler. That's tremendous depth. And then if you could then make it so you have Mate, Kiefer Moore, and Atete as your sort of three strikers battling out for the number 9 position, and then you've got Ramsey and Robinson, and then whether Corwell goes out on loan or not, and then you could bring in a defender. I think you're cooking 2 signings, I think, and that would. We need one defender for depth. We need an out-and-out goal scorer, striker, and I think, look, the spine of the team for Cardiff at the moment is superb. You've got the goalkeepers on fire. You've got the centre-back pairing, which is excellent. You've got Siopis running games. You've got Wintle and Rawls both performing well alongside Siopis. Then you've got Ramsey or Robinson. Obviously, Ramsey is a big issue. And then I think if you can have, so you've got Ramsey, and then if you add in Kiefer Moore to that, that's like the final. That spine is as good as anything in the Championship, and I would argue that for with anyone. It's interesting because, look, I think it's well known that I said that I thought we were going to get Kiefer Moore in the summer, and from what I gather, like, it was close and it didn't quite happen because Bournemouth couldn't get the player they wanted in. But I would expect us to go back in, or at least ask the question if they can get him back in. But there was a couple of players who I would have liked to have seen. I would have liked to have seen Charlie Savage at Cardiff, and I would have liked to have seen what's his head, the defender who left United. I can't remember his name now. Someone will remind me. But I thought that the defender was one that I really wanted because his ability to play all across the back four. He's really good on the ball, really quick, really strong, and I felt like he was a no-brainer on a free. But I fancy I trust the manager to find someone who he likes, who can go to his system. I think the one thing with, like Rob Boyle says, big fan of Kiefer Moore, but I wouldn't be upset if we didn't sign him and we looked abroad. The problem is Tunzebi, that's it. The problem is the Championship is so different to all the other leagues, and it's so difficult. And if you want someone who's going to come in and score goals, and you know they can do it at that level, I think Kiefer Moore ticks all those boxes. Then you've got the bonus of him linking up with Ramsey and stuff, obviously Welsh teammates and stuff like that. So I think that's a big bonus. You bring in anyone from abroad, it's a risk. It's a real risk. But obviously, like Matt says, what would be your wish list for January, apart from Kiefer Moore? Any names floating about? Yeah, I mean, if there was Charlie Savage, like I got to say, if there was any way you could get him out of Reading on the cheap, I'd be well up for that. I think he's a real good player. I don't know. I'd have to have a little look. I might do a little video on that though. Yeah, no, Gutas and Siopis, but I mean, Siopis aside, because he looks so cut above, and I actually think he's probably too good for the Championship. I think Gutas took a while to get going in the Championship, and the other issue is, like, just because those two have done it doesn't mean that someone else will. And we've seen before when we've signed strikers from abroad, they haven't always worked out. So if it was me, I'd be looking to bring a striker in, either a young striker from the Premier League who has got a good goal scoring record, or someone who's already done it in the Championship, like a Kiefer Moore. But I think a versatile defender is as important to give us a bit of depth at the back. It'd be interesting if how the club go about it. Do they go hell for leather and really back the manager and try and get promotion this year, or do they be sort of sensible and just say, right, have a defender and let's just go with what we got up front and let's build gradually? Or do they go, right, we're in the top 10, top 8, let's go for it, let's see what we can do? Because there'll be players knocking about who, if you want to spend a bit of money, you'll be able to do it. So it'll be interesting in what approach Cardiff take, really. One other thing I wanted to discuss is, well, I'll throw that question back to you guys, which Matt asked me, is would you guys be disappointed if we didn't, or if we weren't at least in the playoff mix come the end of the season now? Or do you think there's such a long way to go that, we could still end up in the bottom half? Rob says, does Blue have full say on who's purchased? No, there's the transfer committee, isn't there, which is made up of the manager, the chairman, Kenneth Joe, and someone else who I can't remember the name of. There's like a committee. They make the decision as a group, and then they go. Lorna says, not really. We still need to keep building. Yeah, I think, look, we got a few players on loan as well, and this is a problem which sometimes Championship sides have, is they have 3 or 4 on loan. They do really well, but then they go back in the summer and you're kind of 4 or 5 players short or whatever. I would imagine the manager has I don't know if he'd have the final say, but I think generally speaking, unless he asks for something outrageous, I think the board will back him where they can, because I think he's their man. That's who, I think I discussed previously. Apparently we approached him a while ago before this, I think, when we appointed one of the previous managers, and it didn't quite work out for whatever reason. So they obviously wanted him as the manager. They obviously fancied him. So it'll be very interesting to see kind of how they back him, how they go about business, because we haven't been able to spend money for so long. do we, what do we do? What do we go with? Well, how do we go about it? Bristol City are currently losing 1-0 to Ipswich. But I wanted to talk about this seven-side derby because Dan from Cardiff Classic Shirts made an interesting point on Monday, was he said that the kind of derby day, the derby hoodoo, if you like, has been lifted because we beat Swansea. So maybe the pressure's off a little bit. But I would like to see, I think this Bristol game on Saturday is almost as important as the Swansea game in terms of, like, Cardiff, I think, really need a big performance on Saturday to back up what they did yesterday. Like, if we can go and get a convincing win against Bristol, I believe that we'll take so much confidence from that and we can really kick on. And we got some really interesting games coming up in the league. But I'd like to take a couple of minutes now. We're going to have a look at the Bristol City form and squad and stuff like that as we preview the seven-side derby for Saturday. If you guys have got any questions, get them in now, and I'll go to them after we've done the preview for this. A quick look at the cup. So look, we got Bristol on Saturday at home, and then following that we have Stoke, Norwich, Preston, and West Brom. The Preston game's difficult, but they've dropped off. They've lost 3 of their last 5 games. Preston have. West Brom are in good form. They've won 3 of their last 5. Norwich are obviously struggling a little bit this season. They've lost, they've dropped points in 4 of the last 5. So, but there's some winnable games there, So again, like we talked about the importance of Cardiff from the international break to international break, where we started by beating Swansea, and overall it was a really good period. Now it's important that we build momentum and confidence from this period. Bristol is a winnable game at home. I'd like to see us really go after Bristol. There's no easy games in the Championship. Every team can turn up and beat you. Stoke could turn up and, we could play Stoke at their place and they could really turn on the style and put on a great performance. But being realistic, they've lost 3 of the last 5. They've won, the other 2, but they're 20th in the league. So if Cardiff do want to push on this season, they have to put a run together now. We've got 2 home games and 2 away games after the Bristol game. If we can take a good amount of points from the next 5, I think we're going to be right up in the mix. And the interesting thing is, we are 11 points behind Ipswich in second. In the Championship, 11 points can be made up quite quickly. You look at Middlesbrough, they've won 7 on the bounce, I think it is. And they've gone from, down in the relegation zone to level on points with us. In 9th place, there's 4 teams on 20. So now I'm not saying that Cardiff, should get to second and go for the automatics. What I'm saying is it's not completely out of the question for any of the teams below Ipswich. There's that 10-point gap with how much of the season is left is very possible for someone to close that gap if they put a run together like Middlesbrough have just put. So Middlesbrough won 7 on the bounce. Let's just hypothetical dream world. If Cardiff were to win the next 5 games, I would say that they will be in 3rd or 4th position. The momentum, the confidence, everything which would come with it, and we'd be hot on Ipswich's tail. So why not? Why not be ambitious? Why not go and see what this squad is capable of? Because I look at the squad and I think it's strong. I think we are strong in every position. I think every player in the squad is... Yeah, I just think... I think it's really good. I think that the squad and everything, I'm really happy with the squad overall, like the balance to it and everything. Just there's 1 or 2 signings I'd like to come in. So let's look at Bristol. It's been a mixed bag from them this season. Let's have a look at their form. So they're at home today. They're losing. They they lost. Oh, they beat Coventry at home. They lost to Leeds away. So the form is very mixed. So I'm kind of interested in. I feel like they're there for the taking. I really do. I feel like if Cardiff play like we've been shown that we're capable of playing this year, and he sticks with this 4-2-3-1 and doesn't revert back to this 4-3-3, I think we can cause them all sorts of issues. Look, they've got a couple of players who can cause you issues on their day. The likes of Knight, you've got Weinman, you've got James in midfield. Like these players on their day can cause issues. Conway up front, I like as well. I like the left back Pring as well. But ultimately, I look at their side and I think, well, Cardiff have got a better 11 than that. The 11 we put out last night is well capable of causing them problems. So let's be confident. Let's play our football like we did against Swansea. Let's be comfortable on the ball. Let's make sure that the players are all given options off the ball. And let's play them off the park. Let's get the crowd up early. Get an early goal Saturday. The crowd will be bouncing. So get it going. Get it. Like, I want this Cardiff side to push on. And if we don't make the playoffs, because we're not quite there yet, that's fine. But I want to see us go for it and push on and try to achieve what we are capable of achieving. Bristol line up in like a 4-2-3-1, generally speaking. So you're not worried about their difference in formation causing us issues, maybe getting into certain gaps and stuff like that. So I think there's a real opportunity for Cardiff to get a result against Bristol at home on Saturday. I'm going to go to some of the comments. Will says promotion this year will be too soon. Squad isn't good enough yet for the Premier League football. Plus, very few Saturday games in the Prem, so it's very awful. It's an awful experience as a match-going fan. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I'm not that bothered about getting to the Premier League ultimately. Like, it's nice, but I like the Championship, me. But you want to do as well as you can. But also, I would look at any of the Championship sides, and none of them are ready for the Premier League now. Like, you just got to win the league you're in, and then build in the summer. Why I think Sheffield United and Luton are going to struggle this year is because they haven't strengthened sufficiently for the uptake in quality when you get promotion. I don't think we need to go mad in January. I honestly don't, but you do wonder. But you never know with this board. Like, you just don't, like, because they haven't been able to spend money. Are they going to just kind of go, right, let's go and just blow like whatever? I think if you can get Kiefer Moore for like 4 million, I think that might be a bit ambitious, but it's like if you could get Kiefer Moore for 4 million or a loan until the summer with an option to buy and like a defender or someone, I think you'd be cooking. I really do. I think the playoffs and promotions will be within the grasp. And like I just said, I would really like to see Cardiff like push on and see what they can achieve with this side. Because as I mentioned, I really like the balance and I really like the squad. I think there's a good bit of depth there. So I'd like to see us push on. Reese says Luton have been smart about their activity though, and if they are still in with a sniff in January, they'll spend a bit. I slightly disagree, but I don't wholly disagree, mate. So my thing with both Luton and Sheffield United is I don't think they've put together a squad strong enough to survive this year. But what they have done is they've got a squad which is very, very capable of going straight back up next year. So, it's a thin line, isn't it, between making sure that you're not full of like you don't want to spend loads and be full of these players who, if you do go down, are just going to leave because then you're up shit creek. But you also want to compete, and I think Sheffield United are really struggling. Luton have been a little bit better, but not massively. But they're not the only ones struggling, like Burnley, who everyone thought was going to be, staying up because they play such great football and this and that, like struggling. And in their case, do Burnley now, because they're in the bottom three, does Company go, right, we're gonna have to abandon our principles of playing beautiful football and be a bit more pragmatic, set up to not lose, to try and get some points on the board and survive? When does he make that decision? Does he make that decision? It's a difficult one. But looking at the Bristol game from a Cardiff point of view, I think I'd be disappointed if we don't pick up a victory. I just looking at the last 5 results against Bristol City is very even. So February 2021, we won 2-0 at their place. August 21, they won at our place. Then they beat us in 2022 at their place. They beat us again. And then we beat them at our place. So I believe that we have got a better team than Bristol. And ultimately, I think we should go for it. The back 5 picks itself. Keeper, Ng, McGuinness, Gutas, Collins. I'd go Siopis. I really like what Joe Rawls is doing at the moment, and I thought I think I saw someone mention it in the comments. His set pieces last night was superb. Everything was on point. I think I'd start with Rawls. I was thinking I might start with Wintle because it's a derby and it gives you a bit more bite. But go on. I think I would go with Rawls to try and control the game, similar to what we did against Swansea. We controlled that game from start to finish with the way we kept possession. So I'd go Rawls and I'd go Siopis, obviously. So this is where I might surprise some people, maybe, because everyone knows I really like Grant. I would go with Tanner off the left, and I would go with Bowler off the right, if assuming Ramsey's not going to be fit and back to by Saturday. I would then go with Robinson behind, and I'd go with Mate up front. And I think that is a good enough side. I think that's a real good way to push the team on and set us up. And look, then if it's getting a bit feisty in midfield or we're getting overrun physically or whatnot, we can bring in Wintle for rules. And then you've got the option to bring in Grant. You've got the option to bring on Colwell. You've got, hopefully Tete's back from injury, although I don't think he is. There's some players there. I also think if come the end of the season, we're sort of like 11th and we're not going to get relegated and we're not going to get playoffs, I'd like to see the manager give some of the youth players a go. Like I really am keen to see Joel Colwell. Spoke to someone from the club recently, and let's just say he would know. And again, he told me that Joel Colwell is the real deal, better than his brother. He's got a real shithousery, nasty streak about him, but he is a quality footballer. And to me, I'm excited by that. I want to see him push on, and I would like to see him get his opportunity. Like he's the sort of player, I know he came off the bench in one of the EFL games. So yeah, I think it's something that we can all build on. We all want to see these kind of players and see if they're up to it. So yeah, I like it. I'd like to see these players. And then you've got Kean, what's his name, Kean Ashford. So we got some quality players coming through. So hopefully we'll see some of them on the bench and stuff towards the end of the season. Maybe if we have injuries, we might see them before that. But yeah, I'd go with Mate up front Saturday. I'd go with Robinson at 10, and because it's a home game, I would go with Tanner and Bowler as your wingers, and I'd really try and get a Bristol in the wide areas. Ng and Collins pushing up, because you've got McGuinness and Gutas, and you've got Siopis sitting in front. Rawls is going to kind of try and get on the ball and dictate play. Siopis with that switch ball is so good. I would really like when we've got the ball at home, I'd almost like to, when we're pushing forward, I'd like to see us leave McGuinness and Gutas, Siopis sit, and I'd like to see Collins, Rawls, and Ng almost be like a 3 behind Robinson or whoever's in the 10. Your wingers high and wide, Mate getting in and in the box and linking up. And I think it could cause, really think Bristol, we can get at them. If you're asking me for a prediction of a score, I'm going to go with 3-1 to Bristol. 3-1 to Cardiff. I really fancy us at home. And I think I'm going as well with my son. So I'm really, really looking forward to it. So if you're about, come say hello. If you see me, come say hello and whatnot. A reminder as well, guys, please. Monday night is the Cardiff City fan show every week at the Rum and Tavern pub. Please do come down. Come and have your say. Debate. We'll talk about a Bristol game. We'll look forward to the game after that against Stoke. We'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. Cardiff City as a whole. We'll talk about the January window. Come and get involved. If you don't want to be on camera, that's fine. Just come and say hello, get a drink, watch the show, and then have a chat and stuff after. And let's just build it up, build a community, build it all together. I'd really like to get it nice and full by the end of the season on a Monday night and make it like a meeting place for Cardiff fans where you can just go on a Monday, have a couple of drinks, chill out, talk Cardiff City, talk football like we all love doing. And so, yeah, please do come down. Please spread the word about it. Encourage your mates to come down. Encourage people you know. I know some of you live a bit too far away. So, encourage people you know from Cardiff to come down and check it out. Bring it on, baby. Matthew says, hoping to be there Monday, mate. It would mean the world to me, mate, if you can make it down. Honestly, would. Really, it's something that I'm very, I want to build up and I want to make it successful. Not just for me, but for Dan, because I really like what Dan is doing, who owns the pub, and I really like what he's trying to do with the sorts of things, the events they're putting on. They're working with us as well to try and build these things on a Monday, build a Cardiff City show. He's embracing Cardiff fans, which not many pubs do. I love it, mate. And I really would, if you can get down, people from Cardiff, if you're from further away, encourage your mates to come down and come and have a say, come and say hello, stuff like that. If you ever get a Tuesday off, come down. I know my friend Jamie's coming down at some point from Britain Ferry. Nutter he is, but he's coming down on a Monday. Can't fault him. Also, spread the word about the tickets. QR code's there. Only £5. Come and join us. Myself, Andy Campbell, will be answering your questions, and it's going to be great. Let's do it. Guys, as always, it's been an absolute pleasure. My voice is starting to go, so I'm going to probably call it a day there. I appreciate you all. Thank you very much. And like Will's just said there, I have thought about maybe we can get some fans on via video links for the guys who are further away. It's certainly something which I'm considering. We'll see how it goes, but I want to keep building it. Dan from Classic Shirts is going to be down there again on Monday, so you can have a look at the shirts, all that. Don't forget that the Cardiff Classic Shirts are in the Rum and Tavern on Saturday as well. So if you're in the city centre before you go down to Canton and to the game, go and have a look at some of the shirts they got. They've got some wicked shirts, and go and have a chat to them guys and embrace it. Go see the Rum and Tavern. It's a lovely place, and then join us in the 1927 Lounge on a Monday night. And hopefully I'll see you all on the 3rd of November. And hopefully I'll see you all again on the 1st of December as well. We'll be announcing who that guest is soon enough. All I can tell you is it's going to be a belter. Guys, it's been a pleasure. See you tomorrow night for Rhodri Giggs and football. Take care. Jobless.